Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Molly, also known as Mojo when I'm on the trail. So today I'm going to go over 5 gear changes that I made while on the Appalachian Trail. And as a bonus, at the end of this video, I'm also going to share with you a piece of gear that I wish that I had had with me on the Appalachian Trail. I think it would have made things a whole lot easier, so stick around till the end to find out what that is. Before starting the Appalachian Trail, I did extensive research into what I thought would work for me. I went on multiple shakedown hikes. I did a lot of things, and still I found some things that didn't quite work. I think that is part of the fun about through hiking, is finding out what works for you and what doesn't, because it is definitely a personal preference, but I do want to share with you some things that I changed throughout my through hike. The first gear change that I made while on the Appalachian Trail happened in the first real town that I got to, which was Hiawassee, Georgia. I realized that the shoes that I had started the trail with weren't going to work for me. I was getting some ankle pain because of them. So when I got to Hiawassee, I bought some new shoes. So I started the trail with these Lone Peak mid-hiking boots. And I was really excited about these. I liked that they were all weather so that they would keep my feet a little bit warmer, especially at the beginning of the trail when I thought it was going to be pretty cold. But they were still pretty light as far as a boot goes. So I was really excited about these. I took them on my shakedown hikes, but 3-4 days into the trail, just realized that they were causing me some pain in the back of my heels and that I needed to get new shoes. So at the outfitter, I tried on some Ultras and some Topos and ultimately went with the Ultra Lone Peak 8s. These are the pair that I finished the trail in, and they're still quite dirty, but I really liked these shoes. I got 3 pairs of these along the way, and these ones still have a little bit of life in them. They lasted me between 900 and 1,000 miles, so really liked the Ultra Lone Peak 8s. So that is like the first gear change that I made while on the Appalachian Trail, and I really wasn't expecting it, but that's just one of the things that comes with through hiking. Now let's talk about gear change number 2. This is something that I planned to change even before I started the hike, and it is my sleeping quilts. So I started the trail with my Pariah Outdoor Thermodown 15 quilt. And I really loved this quilt. It kept me very warm when it was super cold in the Smokies. Really well-made quilt. The only downside is that it is a little bit heavier. It's a budget-friendly quilt, so if you're just starting out backpacking, you don't have a huge budget to buy all the latest and greatest ultralight gear, I do really recommend this quilt. Yeah, super high quality, really warm, just a little bit heavier than some of the more expensive ones. I think this quilt is maybe like $180, something like that, definitely under $200. But I knew that I wasn't gonna want to carry this quilt for the whole trail just because it does weigh about 2 pounds, maybe 2.2 pounds, something like that. So I knew that once the weather got warmer that I was going to switch out my quilt to a more lightweight one. I ended up keeping my sleeping bag until my mother-in-law came to visit me around Glasgow, Virginia. So she brought me my 30-degree REI Magma Trail quilt. And I carried this quilt for the rest of the trail, and I absolutely loved it. It was a lot lighter than the quilt I started out with, and it was just absolutely perfect. Even when it was super hot in Connecticut, when we had like 8 days of 95-degree weather, I would still have this at least near me when I went to sleep, and at some point throughout the night it would get cold enough to want at least a little bit of a blanket on top of me. When we got further north into New Hampshire and Maine, the temperature never got below 30 degrees, and so I was able to carry this more lightweight quilt all the way with me to Katahdin. That is the second gear change that I made while hiking the Appalachian Trail. All right, now we are on to gear change number 3. So the third gear change that I want to talk about was the changes I made in the clothing that I wore on the AT. So I started off the trail wearing these REI Swiftland hiking leggings. I really liked these when I was on my shakedown hikes, and I was excited to wear them, but they kept falling down, and I think the material is what caused some of that rash that I got on my stomach early on in the trail. So I had my mom ship me these hiking pants. They are from Amazon. They're the Belief brand, just hiking pants. And I carried these with me for the rest of the Appalachian Trail. I didn't always wear hiking pants. A lot of times I would wear shorts. For a lot of the trail, I hiked in these Gymshark shorts. They were really comfortable, and the material isn't like that spandex material. It's a little bit thicker. These didn't give me a rash, so my body liked this material a whole lot better. But I also hiked in just these pair of kind of basic Asics shorts that I got at a Goodwill in Daleville, and I had some Nike Pro shorts underneath those. Yeah, I wore this combination for part of the trail, and then I switched back to wearing the Gymshark shorts. I also switched up my shirts quite a bit. I started out the trail with this lightweight tank top that I would wear underneath of this outdoor research sun hoodie. This combination was perfect. When I started the trail in March, I kind of expected it to be pretty cold, and some days it was, and some days it was not. It actually got pretty warm and sunny. I got sunburnt within the first few days of the trail, and I was really glad that I had a tank top to wear. I'd wear it underneath this, and every once in a while it would get too warm that I'd want to pull off this sun hoodie layer, and I was really happy that I had this tank top. Even though I changed my shirts throughout the trail, I kept both of these throughout the entirety of my Appalachian Trail through hike. However, in Glasgow, Virginia, when my mother-in-law came to visit me, I had her bring me a tank top that I had set aside as something that I might possibly want from Old Navy. I liked that it had like the built-in bra, so I didn't have to wear a sports bra and a shirt. That was really nice about this. I wore this in the really hot summer months, and I really liked having this. When I got to Delaware Water Gap, I had a resupply box sent there, and I had another shirt sent in that box, and that was this orange icebreaker merino wool t-shirt. At the time, I had thought that it was gonna start to get a little bit cooler, so I was wanting something that was short-sleeved, maybe a little bit thicker, and it ended up getting much, much hotter. And as much as I really liked this t-shirt, it was just so hot to hike in, and it just got super, super sweaty that I kind of regretted changing to this shirt. The one good side is that since it's merino wool, it didn't smell quite as bad, so that was a plus, but all of the other things made it a little bit of a bummer. I went back to wearing either the sun shirt or this tank top. Yeah, it was kind of fun being able to try different clothes. You wear the same shirt every single day, so every once in a while it's kind of nice to have a little bit of a change. But yeah, those are the clothing changes that I made while on the Appalachian Trail. Well, we are on to gear change number 4. So the fourth gear change that I made while hiking the Appalachian Trail was switching from this 6 Moon Designs dry bag to just a regular compactor bag. So I started out the trail with the 6 Moon Designs 50-liter dry bag, and I was really excited about this. I thought that it would do a pretty good job of keeping all of my stuff dry inside my bag. I didn't have a pack cover, so I was really relying on the pack liner to keep all of my stuff dry. And it did a okay job. I would find that if it rained quite a bit, some things that I kept in the very bottom of this bag would get wet, and I typically would stuff my sleeping bag into the bottom of my pack in this pack liner first. So that was typically what would get wet, was my sleeping quilt. And that's not really something that you want to get wet, so that was kind of disappointing. Luckily, somehow, the rain really wasn't that much of an issue for me on the Appalachian Trail, which just seems like wild to say. I somehow was able to time it pretty good, that on days that it rained, we were going into town, or we were in town taking a zero, things like that. So whenever we got like completely soaked, at least in the beginning of the trail, we were on our way into town where we could dry things out. Even though I knew that my sleeping bag would get kind of wet, I kept it all the way until, I think, Manchester Center, Vermont, where I switched to just this compactor bag. I had done a lot of research, and I knew that people use these compactor bags for pack liners and that they were really recommended, and that, like, don't waste your money on a pack liner, just do the compactor bag. But for some reason, I didn't listen, and I wanted the 50-liter dry bag. I should have just listened, because this worked so well. So well. None of my stuff ever got wet after switching to this compactor bag. I honestly don't know why anyone would use anything else now that I've switched to this. Don't be like me. Just get the compactor bag. So much cheaper, so much better, and is only just like a little bit crinkly. But who cares? It's not that big of a deal. Now let's talk about the 5th gear change I made, which was also the biggest gear change that I made. The 5th gear change that I made was switching my tents. I started the trail in the Sea to Summit Alto TR2 semi-freestanding tent, and at the end of New Hampshire, I ended up switching to the Durston X-Mid Pro 2, which is a Dyneema trekking pole tent. So this is the Sea to Summit tent that I started the trail with. I really loved this tent. I thought it worked really well for the Appalachian Trail. It was easy to set up. It's semi-freestanding, so that gives you a little bit more flexibility, like on where you set it up. So if it's a really rocky area, something like that, or on a tent platform, it's easy to set this tent up. You don't have to worry about that too much like you would with a trekking pole tent. This tent never leaked, even when it was raining pretty hard on the AT. One thing that I really like about it is that it has these different stuff sacks for the different parts of the tent. So the rain fly is in this one, the tent body is in this stuff sack, and then the poles kind of go in these pockets to keep it all together. I thought that was a really cool design, and if you're using this tent and hiking with another person, it makes it really easy to like split up the weight of the tent between 2 people. This tent weighs about 2.8 ounces, which is pretty similar to some other lightweight freestanding tents like the Big Agnes UL2. Overall, I thought this worked really great. The biggest reason that I switched from this tent is just because I wanted something a little bit lighter. This is something that I already had before I started the Appalachian Trail. My husband and I had used this on some previous backpacking trips, and it wasn't necessarily in my budget to buy a brand new tent in order to lighten my pack, so this is what I started out with, and I was very, very happy with it. And then I got to Vermont and I got sick, and my pack felt like it weighed 1,000,000 pounds. I had not had an issue with the weight of my pack the entire time. Something happened when I got sick, so I sent probably like a pound or 2 of gear that I really wasn't using home, and I ordered a new tent. And I ordered was the Durston X Mid Pro 2. I had seen quite a few people on the trail with Durston tents. I had heard a lot about them before I went on the trail. It just really wasn't something that was in my budget before I left, along with just really feeling like I needed to lessen the weight of my pack. I also knew that I had enough money left in my budget to make it to Maine and to also be able to afford this. So I made the decision that I wanted to get it, and I'm very happy that I did. I had it sent to Hanover, New Hampshire, and I was really hoping that I would get to hike New Hampshire and Maine with the lighter tent. And unfortunately, that is not what happened. I got to Hanover before the tent did. I ended up picking up this tent in Gorham, New Hampshire, and I was so happy about it. It is over a pound lighter and so easy to set up. Like, I thought that my freestanding tent was easy to set up. This is so easy. So simple. It uses 4 stakes. You can set it up in like 2 minutes. I would really recommend a Durston trekking pole tent. They're a lot lighter. They are so simple to set up and really, really great. Well, that was really all of the gear changes that I made while I was hiking the AT. I think that doing a lot of research, watching a lot of YouTube videos, seeing what other people use, doing shakedown hikes really helped me dial in my gear. That was all super beneficial for me, so that when I got on trail, everything was mostly dialed in. It was just like a few things here and there. It wasn't like I had to change every single thing. But as promised, I do have one gear recommendation that I really wish that I had with me while I was hiking the Appalachian Trail. And that piece of gear is a flip fuel. And I still don't have one. I still need to purchase this, but I will put a picture of it right here. It is this little device that helps you transfer fuel from one fuel canister to another. And I really wish that I had had one of these on the Appalachian Trail. One of my friends, Rusty, she had one. And when we finished hiking through the Smokies, we were at a hostel together, and we went to Walmart and I bought a bigger fuel can, and we used that to refill both of our smaller cans, and it was so amazing. It was so simple, and it just worked really, really well. There are so many like half empty fuel cans in all of the hostels along the AT that I probably could have made it the whole way without buying fuel if I had had this little piece of gear. It weighs 1.2 ounces, so it's really not a lot of weight in your pack, and it costs about $35. It wouldn't have been any more expensive just to buy this little piece of gear instead of buying the, I don't know, 6 cans of fuel that I had to while I was on the trail. So that is the one thing that I wish I had on the trail that I never ended up getting, but I will definitely get for my next thru hike. Well, that is all that I have for you today. Like always, let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I am planning on doing a Q&A video, so even if it's not related to gear, leave those questions in the comments, and I'm going to compile those and do a question and answer video for y'all here pretty soon. But thank you so much for watching and for supporting me even now that I am back home from the Appalachian Trail. I really, really appreciate it. Like always, mighty fine hiking, everyone. Bye!